Hey everyone, welcome to the NRL punts preview for round one. We're going to cover the Saturday and Sunday games, go through our odds comparison tool, and check out the value try scorer plays for the 5 games on the Saturday and the Sunday. I've already done this for Thursday and Friday, so you can obviously check out the video on YouTube, the podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. I'll do a really quick intro for probably a minute or two and get straight into it. So obviously this is our link tree. So what that has is all our socials. Feel free to follow us, like our stuff. That would obviously be really helpful for us to get our content out there for more fans of the NRL. Also, so we've got obviously our website, we've got our Discord community. It's got almost 300 people in there. It'd be awesome if you could join. It's free to join and get involved. Draft Stars, we partner with them across the NRL season. So we do content and also data projections to help you make your teams on there. They had a $50,000 contest for the first game of the NRL last night. First prize was almost $5,000. And obviously it's not like season long fantasy. You can literally make a team just for the one game. So you can get involved for whichever games that you're actually watching and want to get involved with. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, guys. There's a bunch of content, written, video, audio, anything you want. Probably a couple of the best things on there that are most popular, the NRL Round 1 Punts Preview, the written version, the article. So I've just updated that on the Friday morning for the rest of the games today. And I'll update that for the rest of the weekend shortly. And also you can join our NRL Supercoach and Fantasy Leagues. They're free to join. We've got $500 in prizes across the 2 comps. And last but not least, we've made a shareable Google spreadsheet that you can check out over here. That's got all the teams for every single NRL team all in the same place. We've got some notes based on availability, injury. We've got expected minutes for all the forwards and who's going to goal kick for every team. So there's a bunch of stuff on there, guys. You can check out Wicky.ai, any of our socials, it will all be on there. But let's get started. So just starting off with the first game for Saturday. Oops, almost stuffed up there just to start with. This game's gonna be awesome. You know, Seagulls versus Bulldogs, daytime 3 p.m. game. Tom Trbojevic is back, which is gonna be exciting for Manly. For the Dogs, you've got Marnie and Kickout, which is going to be really exciting. It's going to be a huge season for the Bulldogs. It sucks that their pack is depleted now with Pangai Jr. being ruled out for the next few weeks and Luke Thompson, unfortunately, for probably half the season or so because he's just had surgery. Anyways, it's going to be a really good game. Both of these teams didn't make the 8 last year, but with Trbojevic back and the new recruits for the Dogs, it should be a really interesting game. Getting into the try scorers. So I'm only going to go through this once really quickly for this first game. And then we can essentially shoot through the rest of the games really quickly. If you want to look at a more detailed breakdown of how to make sense of our tool, or anything similar to that, feel free to check out the article that explains it or the video for Thursday and Friday's games where I go into a little bit more depth for people checking out the tool for the first time. But I've started doing the Punters preview article since about round 10 last year. So people should have a pretty good idea based off the stuff that I did last season. But I'll go through a real quick explainer and then we'll shoot through the 5 remaining games that I haven't done for round 1 of the NRL 2023. So basically, if you go to first try scorer and you go to the Manly game, for example, what we try to do here is we've got all the players going down the page. We figure out, so there's 6 bookies available, and out of that, essentially where we can find the best odds. So just taking Tom Trbojevic as an example, $11 to score the first try and bet 365, the best possible odds for him, and then compare that to his career strike rate, just literally looking backwards, his career so far, and convert that to betting odds, and that's also $11. And then our model is trying to look forwards, so it's trying to predict what the likelihood of Tom Trbojevic scoring the first try is, and then convert that to betting odds. And just to really explain in a bit more detail, historical is just looking back. There's no sort of complexity to it. Whereas the model, it's looking at the line and total for the game. So for example, if a really good team is playing one of the lower ranked teams, it's going to give the really good teams backs an advantage, for example, because the line is favoring them. And the total, if it's going to be a really high scoring game, it obviously looks at that in the anytime try score markets, for example. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So Tom Trbojevic run meter stats, tackle break stats, his try scoring ability, all that stuff gets taken into consideration when looking at the model. Our model does have a couple of flaws, like for example with rookies, you'll notice that, for example, if the Storm are playing the Titans, Storm have a huge line an advantage, sorry, against the Titans, it'll still show that Titans winger as decent value sometimes. It's just because when there's not enough sample size to go off with, our model just doesn't do a good job. But generally, our model's a really good guide, and obviously using historical strike rate with their career strike rate is a good indicator as well. And what market value does, it basically looks at the player's best odds and then second best odds across all the bookies. So 11 and 10, bang, 110. There you go. So essentially, I'll show you now. If I scroll, the way I usually look at this tool is I go game by game and go sort by different things. So for example, model value, Carl Flanagan, a lot of people love to roast him. But in this game, he's priced at 51 on Sportsbet, and our model thinks he should be around the $40 mark. He actually scored a couple of tries late last year from memory. So I don't personally love this bet, but it's not the worst. And definitely sort of priced slightly above what I think he should be. But it's probably one that I'll personally stay away from. Looking at Jake Trebojevic, just because he was such a good try scorer early in his career, he always shows up. He's got if you look at his historical try scoring, it's all in the first sort of 4 or 5 years. Last couple of years, he's really regressed as a try scorer. So look, personally, I don't like anything that our model likes for this game here. Historical value, Matt Burton obviously played in the centers for the Panthers, so he's got a really good try scoring strike rate based off that. So I think that's a decent play. I will see whether I potentially put that in our official value plays for the punters preview article. Kick out at 23. I will definitely have a look at this. So if you looked at his career and his strike rate at scoring the first try, converted that to betting odds, it'd be about just under $14. Obviously, he's moved to a new club, and there's a whole bunch of other factors here. But 23 looks like a pretty good price. And it's almost like they've forgotten who Billy Kikau is. So yeah, definitely like the 23s there. Having a look at some of the others in historical, nothing really stands out. And then market value. So market value is basically who's priced really well on one side compared to all the others. So these four guys with the green lights over here. Oh, Bullimore. I'll definitely be able to look at this because he's named on the bench. If his price for first try score second half is 61 or above, I'll probably have a look at Bullimore. Really good try scorer. Love his running game generally as well. Burden obviously priced way better on Neds than he is on other sides, which is why he's been pulled up here. It actually makes me think that, yeah, he is decent value. If he's got two green lights and sort of reasonably higher than our model as well, that's actually a pretty good value player. So I'll definitely have a look at that. Aside from that, nothing else really. So I think, yeah, Burden, potential first try scorer, Bullimore, first try scorer, second half, potentially. They're probably the two main ones. Oh, and Kicker, first try scorer at 23 on Neds. They're probably the three players that I like in the first try scorer or second half markets. Anytime try scorer, let's go by model value. Yep, I've already said him. Olakau'atu, ridiculously good price. 3 green lights. He's way higher price on Neds than our model would have him at. His career strike rate is obviously much lower as well. And market value, he's way better on Neds than he is at the other bookies. Olakau'atu, probably my play of the day or play of the game. Let's just say that. I don't know about the other two Saturday games just yet. Even though Trebojevic has 3 green lights, it's really up to you. Like if you think he's going to play a slightly different game under a new coach, maybe the good odds are worth getting on early in the season to see how he goes the first 3 or 4 weeks. I'll personally be staying away, but couldn't blame anyone if you thought he was good value. Historical wise, again, Burden. Wow, okay. 550, way higher than the other sides. Yeah, really like Burden. I'll have a think about whether we go value play for both first and anytime price scorer or just for 1 and 2. But he looks good. Olakau'atu looks excellent. Manu Brown, he scored a lot of tries last year. I think he scored one in the trials as well. I'll definitely have a look at him. Actually, I'll go back to first try scorer in a sec and have a look at him. Because I think so you can scroll by the highest odds here as well, by the way. So Manu Brown, where is he? 41. Okay, sure. If he was sort of like 50 and above, I'd definitely have a look at him. 41's a little bit tricky. But that's it for the first game. So I'll move on to one of the others now. Where are we? So, Cowboys Raiders. This should be a really fun game for try scorers. The Raiders, unfortunately, they're missing Josh Papali, the best try scoring middle forward in the comp. They're missing Adam Elliott, obviously from last year, being replaced by CHN. Cowboys are in pretty good shape, so they've got Hess starting because Luch Leilua is unfortunately available, and so is Helam Luki. But regardless, like I think Cowboys at home definitely start strong favourites here. So let's get straight into the try scorer markets for this game. Um, Townsend, McLean, Levi, not the three most inspiring try scorers. Our model definitely likes them, but I think McLean, I always stay away from. Not a fan of him in try scorer markets. Levi at $81, he could be interesting. Not the most highly regarded NRL player, another one that gets roasted quite a bit because of his attitude and a few other things. But I'll probably have a small dabble on him at $81. And Townsend at $51. I think he's more of a last try scorer play. So on tab or points bet, if you found him at 61 for the last try, I think you could sort of sneak over late as a lot of the smaller halves in the NRL do late in games. I think that could be an interesting play. But aside from that, I think, if I just go by all the highest odds, one that I absolutely love is Joey Tapine at $81 on TAB to score the first try against the Raiders. Look, the Raiders are definitely the outsiders. They're missing Papali as well, which will really hurt them. But all signs point to Tapine having a barnstorming year this year, just like he did last year. He also did really well in the World Cup. Absolutely love Tapine at $81 to score the first try. And depending on the site, it's tab, he should also be the same price for the second try and the last try. So for middle forwards that play, or that obviously Tapine is the dominant front rower now in that team, he'll likely play the first sort of 25, maybe 30 minutes, and he'll definitely be on in the last 20, you'd think. So I love him to score the first try, the second try, or the last try on tab, and they should all be $81 odds. Moving across to historical, CHN, those odds are only the historical odds. So if you look at his career strike rate, convert that to betting odds of scoring the first try, be just under 20. That's because of his days probably at the Panthers when he used to play a lot of edge. And obviously he's been named at lock, so be wary. If there's any news coming out that he will be playing on the edge, and maybe Whitehead goes to lock or something similar, that 51 is ridiculously good. So keep an eye out for that. Aside from that, nothing too much that I like here. And then market value. This is the beauty of the market value column. So it just immediately highlights how good that 81 price is for a player like Tapine. And you can see that every other bookie has him at less than 51. I know our model doesn't do it, funnily enough. The whole point of doing this is to find good middle forwards usually, and unfortunately, our model doesn't do a great job of middle forwards. Understanding that he was dominant last year, to be honest, even though he was dominant, I think he only scored a try or two last season, or maybe I think it was 2 tries all season. But yeah, a model doesn't love his odds, and neither would like going off his historical strike rate. It's not great either. Given his form, given that he's a dynamic ball runner, I absolutely love that price. So I'll be going that for sure. And I'd have a look at nothing much if you look this way, but if you go by best odds, Horsburgh at around 81 or 91, and then Gula at around 81. If you find those two first try score a second half at $81, I'd definitely be having smaller stake than Tapine for sure, but definitely be having a look at those two guys. Horsburgh is more of a base stat kind of guy. Gula's a little bit more explosive, but I'd probably have a small dabble on both of those. Going into the next game, the last game for Super Saturday, 7:30 game. I'll just go back to the teams. Sharks, obviously everyone knows Nico Hines is out, unfortunately. Trindle's actually decent in attack. He might have some defensive deficiencies, but he's reasonable in attack. So I don't think, well, it is a big loss, obviously, Hines on the Dally M, but I think Trindle will still go all right. In terms of the pack, the Sharks have a ridiculously good pack. So they've got 4 middle forwards, or 4 guys who can play in the middle on the bench. Wilton and Graham will be interesting. Like, does Graham still minutes off Wilton or not? I know a lot of fantasy and super coach guys would be having a close look at that. Backline wise, look, the Sharks are kind of like the Cowboys in that they haven't had too many changes. If you take the Hines injury out of there, here, That is very close. So, the other one they're missing is Royce Hunt, but that's very close to their team last year. So I'd expect them to start well this season. The Rabbitohs are missing Havili and Sele. So that bench of Mitchell, Moale, Cheekham, and Taff is it's one of the weaker ones I would have thought in the NRL. But their starting pack, bang. It's literally the six guys that would have played most of last season. And then they've got Walker, Cody Walker, AJ, and Mitchell in the back. So this should be a really, really high quality game. Really looking forward to this one. From a try scorer perspective, let's get straight into it. Sione Katoa, 245. I know Hines is out. But yeah, a model loves him, and so does the sort of looking at the history. Well, it's pretty easy. Like if you look at his our model, and if you look at the historical strikeout, convert that to betting odds, they're around $1.85 or so. Both of them, and then Bet365 has $2.45 available. So I think that's a pretty good play. That'll definitely that'll definitely be in the punters preview article. Aside from that, nothing too exciting according to our model. Historical strike rate wise, ULA, absolutely love him. He had a little bit of a quiet year last year because he was sort of in and out due to injuries from memory. But if you look at, again, his try scoring strike rate and then compare that to convert that to betting odds, it's around just over $6. And here you can get him for $9.25 on Neds. Usually I'd be all over it, but just because they've got four middles on the bench, I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. Sorry, so I'm going to have a look at his first try score odds and hope they're reasonable and put that in as a value play. But aside from that, nothing too outstanding there. Tola, Trindle, these guys are also like reasonably priced. Ilias at sixes, maybe, but I think this is going to be a close game early in the season. I'll probably stay away, but Ilias does look really good. And then let's go into first try scorers. Arrow at $51. This is one that I actually got on quite a few times last year, but because he plays on that dominant left edge for the Rabbitohs, but he ends up just being a decoy. They just sort of pass the ball past him, obviously, to AJ. So even though our model really likes that play, and left edge for the Rabbitohs, you think it's a good play. I'm probably going to stay away and try to learn my lessons from last year, at least early in the season, unless we find out that they're playing a slightly different structure on the Rabbitohs left. Nothing really aside from that stands out for model value. There you go. 67 ULA. First try scorer. Absolutely love that. Look out for his final team list just in case he's benched. But I think with Hunt missing, he should be starting and should provide some impact for the Sharks early, and absolutely love the $67 odds for him to score the first try. Brad ULA on Neds. Murray looks decent at 34, but he's one of those ones that he's got a lot of first tries in his career. $18 would be the price if he went off just his track record. So the 34 does look good, but at the end of the day, he's a middle forward. It's going to be a close game. I don't know necessarily if I love the $34 odds. If that was 41, I'd be all over it. 34s, I'm not too sure. Market value wise, Rudolph, first try scorer 91s, might be worth a small dabble, but don't love it. And that's probably about it. So I think just to reiterate for this game, ULA at 67, FTS. And then on the anytime try scorer side, who do we like? It was, I think ULA and Katoa. They're probably the two main ones for the final game of the Saturday between the Sharks and the Rabbitohs. Let's move on to the Roosters and the Dolphins. Should be really interesting. So let's get some of the teams just quickly. So obviously the Roosters, they are missing Angus Crichton. Unfortunately, Egan Butcher takes that second row spot. The Dolphins, obviously the whole team's new, but I covered this in one of my fantasy previews for the season. Like they're just like class. I think they've got a reasonable team from 1 to 13, and SASA, Nichols, Ray Stone. That's actually again reasonable bench. Their whole team is decent without having like at least those one or two star players that most teams have. I think the Roosters are going to start with a bang and probably win this game comfortably by more than 3 tries. Tedesco, Keary, Walker, Suwali, Collins, Smith, Lodge, Butcher, Radley. Like that's just an excellent sort of like starting team. I know with the bench they've got Fletcher Baker, Hutchison, White, and May. So I understand that they kind of drop off quite sharply, but I reckon like Radley, Lodge, and Collins and Brandon Smith. Well, their whole starting pack is really impressive, and they're going to have to play big minutes, and I think they can and do a good job at it. And I think Tedesco, Walker, and Cleary, they're going to have a field day. So getting into the markets, this is an example of a time where our models got this wrong. So Katoa is obviously playing his first game in his career and for the Dolphins. The model doesn't take into consideration the line and totals because he's a rookie. So unfortunately, it's saying that he's good value where I desperately disagree. I don't think $6 is a good price for Katoa to score a try anytime. Outside of that, I don't love the prices for any of these guys. So no model value really. Career-wise, you're going to see a lot of Dolphins guys. Like whenever you look at a team where one team is a big outsider and then you go by historical value, you're going to get them showing up as good value compared to their price. But that's just because historical value only looks backwards and doesn't take into consideration the fact that they're playing a much stronger team. So I don't love anything over there. Market value wise, oh man, any other team, and I'd be excited by Jared Wallace. He got up for us, I think it was 2 weeks in a row at $81, first or last try scorer from memory. That was awesome. But yeah, aside from that, don't love anything here. So nothing in the anytime try scorer market for the Dolphins Roosters game. Model value first try scorer again, ignore Katoa. Outside of that, Lindsay Collins and Matt Lodge. I think our model don't love those prices. Like I know that they're very likely to score the first try. $61 is an okay price, but I don't think it deserves to kind of have the green lights. I don't think it's amazing value. And looking at historical value, Tom Gilbert, no, not unfortunately not this time. I don't think there's anyone that really stands out here either for historical value. Market value, last one. SASA, maybe first try scorer second half. I'd have a small double at 101s. The Roosters pack is definitely weaker than their starting pack. Actually, I think I will have a little dabble on that. So SASA, first try scorer second half on CAB at $101. Really like that. It's a bit of an outsider play. Outside of that, nothing really too much. So that's it for the Dolphins and Roosters game. Ended up being a little bit more uneventful than I thought. Last game for the round, 6 p.m. or 6:15 p.m. on Sunday. Tigers and Titans. I think everyone's hoping this is the high scoring game. Both teams should be expected to do much better than they did last year. The Titans have Verrills, Foran, and Shop as their sort of recruits for 2023. Unfortunately, Fermor's done his ACL, so that'll most likely be Joe Stimson taking the starting second roller spot, and then that'll lead to a Haas's younger brother or maybe a Sam McIntyre on the bench because of that. I think from a try scorer and fantasy point of view, look out for Aaron Clark. He had a great end to last year when he started playing minutes, maybe 40 to 50 minutes, I think, at lock. And then Tino moved to prop from lock. Essentially, they just had way better stats to finish the year than both of them. So look out for those guys. Tino is also one of the best middle forwards in terms of try scoring strike rate in the NRL. So if his odds are ever juicy, have a look out for him. At the Tigers, big name recruits, Coruscant, Ice Papali on the edge. Who else do they have? They've got, I missed someone, yeah, Dave Clemmer as well. So that's 3 really big name recruits. And they've got John Bateman, who should be back in a couple of weeks. He's just come back from England. He'll slot in most likely for Bloor in a couple of weeks. And they've got the Forbes Ferrari, Charlie Staines in there as well. So it's actually looking like a reasonable lineup. I think both teams, as I said, should do much better this year. Should be a fun game to watch to finish off round 1. From a try scorer point of view, so look, anytime try scorer, scroll by model value. I don't know, this is some sort of sick game that I shouldn't say that about Toppy, but Top Sport have priced him really well, but obviously he's just on his ACL, unfortunately won't be playing. Another reason to join our Discord and follow us on socials. So Joe Stimson was actually available at $67 on Neds yesterday when this news broke about Fermor. And I posted this on the Discord and on social media. So obviously he's been crunched in now. He's nothing like that price, but most likely he'll be taking Fermor's spot. And instead of maybe 26 or maybe 34 for Simpson, you would have gotten 67 if you got on at that time. Aside from that, Foran is good value according to our model and his career strike rate. he's just coming into a new team, and I just don't know at this stage of his career if I love betting on him for try scorer markets unless he's double the price he should be, and he's definitely not that. So I'm going to stay away there. No one really that stands out for model value for anytime try scorer. For historical value, Stefano, he's kind of in that Brandon Uele mold of having a really good sort of couple of years, or he had a really good 2021 in try scorer markets. He had a quiet year last year because he was sort of in and out with injuries. But his strike rate converted to betting odds is $5.50. Most bookies have, or you can see here, $7 or less, and then Sportsbet having it for $9.25. I'll have a look for first try scorer, but definitely like him there. Aside from that, Big Tino at $7, as I said, barnstorming into last season. I think $7 is a decent price, but probably $8 or $9, and I'd be interested. So I'll probably stay away from Tino there. And then market value, Stefano again being pointed out. No, nothing else really stands out here. So I think for any time try scorer for the last game this round, nothing really, I don't think really stands out. Stefano maybe, but let's have a look at what he is in first try scorer markets first. So 61, I think that's it's probably a better player because I just don't know if you'll get big minutes in that Tigers pack. So I'll probably like the $61 for Stefano to score first. Maybe a small double on anytime try scorer as well. But let's go model value first. So Jolliffe, I really like. Starting prop for the Titans this year, up against the Tigers, who do have a much better pack, but that's 3 green lights for Jolliffe. Really like that. Foreign, I think if you are going to have a look at 3 green lights for him as well, I think it's definitely worth a look for first try score at 67s. Maybe a small stake on him. I actually like the Jolliffe 101 better than the foreign 67s. They're both on tab, by the way. Tanner Boyd, I actually really like this play. $46 score the first try on Sportsbet. He'd be priced around 31 by a model. And if you convert his strike rate, look, he's not played really that many games in his career. I think he's probably done it once, and he's probably played 39 games. So I wouldn't play a lot of import as historical, but I think sort of like 46, I think that should sort of be like mid to late 30s, maybe his first try scorer price. He's going to have and he's going to be next day for feeder. So, I can just see like a dummy and go from Tanner Boyd, which would be cool at $46 to score the first try. Really, really like Luke Brooks. So I think the play here is to go Luke Brooks, first try scorer, and also last try scorer. Not a multi, separate bets, but both at $41 odds on tab. I really like that as well. Utuka Mino at $61. Yeah, so look, a few decent plays actually in this game. It's going to be a high scoring game, so I think this will be a fun one for try scorer markets. And historically, yeah, Utuka Mino stands out. It's probably the main one. And then market value. Who do we have? Tino at 51s is a decent play. Yeah, I think that's good enough. I think that's good enough for a double for sure. And that's probably it. So just for your trading, first try scorer markets, Foreign and Jolliffe, sort of a small play on them. Tanner Boyd, that's probably the one, or Tanner Boyd and Luke Brooks at 41s. I really like those two. And also Kamanu for a small play at 61s as well. And then just to finish off, I think that was one. See, but and Tino at 51s. I like him as well for a small play. So that does it, guys. That's the full review of the Saturday and Sunday games from a try scorer perspective. Obviously, you can check out this tool yourself for free. So feel free to find your own best players and put it on our socials or our Discord. Obviously, we're trying to build a community. I think we had like 30 or 40 people on that Discord when we started it this time last year. Now we've got almost 300 across NRL and cricket fans predominantly, and that they're discussing punting, they're discussing fantasy. So get involved. I think what else do we have? The spreadsheet that I talked about at the start. So the Warriors and Knights game tonight, as you can see, like it's got all the teams, predicted teams, expected minutes for the forwards. Red means that the goal kickers, injured guys on the bench, like trying to sort this all out for you guys, and I'll update that probably every Tuesday, Teamless Tuesday. We've also got this little tool that helps you sort out players try scoring stats for different seasons. So in the Punter preview, I listed Lockie Fitzgibbon as a really good anytime try scorer play at $6 odds in the 6 p.m. game on the Friday. The reason why, and you can see it here, is you see how he's sort of throughout his career, he's got 25 tries in just less than 100 games, so just less than $4 if you had to make sort of betting odds out of that. But then you look at his last 2 years, and he's only played 20 games. He's only played 20 games, and he's only scored at least a try in 3 of them. And obviously the odds look really crap there comparatively. So I think like you're getting $6.70 in his last 2 sort of injury affected seasons. We've played off the bench a little bit, maybe even a little bit of middle forward, and you're getting $6, which is close to this price for him on the left edge with Kalen Ponga against the Warriors. So yeah, that's just another way where you can play around with these cards. You can filter by different seasons, whether they're home or away, whether like the opposition team, all that kind of stuff. So you can have fun with that. And that's it. So check out the link tree, check out our socials, check out all the content, give us some recommendations as well. It's obviously the first time I'm doing this video. So if you've got any advice on how to do things differently, let me know. Otherwise, good luck with your punting, your fantasy, and enjoy NRL round 1.